every person who's achieving success has created a form of container. Is the container optimal? That's a good question. What does the container prioritize? That's another good question. But it's impossible to achieve any kind of success without a container. If I'm going to medical school, let's use a better example. Let's use medical school. I have to go to school, let's say, for 10 years. I need a container. That's the very first thing I need to establish if I want to get through such a gruesome journey. I need to exclude everything that is not my goal. I need to put it out because it's going to create too many distractions. I need to completely focus my energy. And then the journey begins. So there needs to be a container. And perhaps as you go along, you realize, I'm not so good in physiology. You're going to have to take some extra classes or spend some extra time or get an assistant to help you with this. And maybe you're very good at this, so maybe you help another person, which creates good karma, or creates energy motion that gets back to you in another way a little later on the journey, and so on. And anything that's coming from the outside of that container is going to distract you. Perhaps once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or once a month, you can afford doing something that is not in the container, but even then, you would put it in your container as once a week, these 2 hours, I do this, and it's good for the container. So it would be part of the container, because otherwise that 2 hours can just become 7. But you can schedule it, and you'll say, I want 2 hours or 5 hours a week, or I play whatever makes you happy. And then you'll evaluate its effect on the container. Is it overall positive? Does it help me feel better? Does it help me to sustain my rhythm? Or does it take me off rhythm? And each person will evaluate. Everybody has a different constitution. But see, generally, the successful person will take that in consideration and put what's out of container in the container as an element, as a variable. I'm going to eat pizza on that day because it makes me feel good. It appeases my mind, helps me relax. I get to hang out with my friends. It creates a better harmony and less tense. Well, overall, that's good for the container. The question is, what's your priority? So my priority in life is my health. When I say health, it's a very big, broad, profound word. Generally, let's say that person over there, his priority is making money. So they will not understand life the same way I do. This person over there, maybe it's his career or her career. That person over there may be his or her family. Me, it's health. And I've taken the definition of health and I've unpacked it and I went really deep. And then this definition, you understand, is all encompassing. Meaning, well, you can't be healthy if you're poor. You can't be healthy if your life doesn't have purpose and meaning. You can't be healthy if you don't know who you are. You can't be healthy if who you are is not actualized. Well, suddenly it's all there. And part of the health process and part of growing your health is to allow all these things to eventually bloom, but they bloom from you, from your health, not from your compensations, not from your mind, not from the way your mind has been influenced by society. They're coming from you. But all these aspects, these 4 that I mentioned, will be taken care of. Otherwise, you cannot be healthy. That is the definition of health. If my actions in every day do not have purpose, or are not established in purpose, then I cannot be healthy because a part of my system is going to feel depressed. There's no amount of money that you're going to have that's going to remove the depression. Well, so that's why you prioritize, I prioritize health. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really matters to me. I don't want to grow sick, old, and die in pain. When you prioritize your health and you understand health in its truest sense of the word, and it's a deep subject, unfortunately, most people do not go deep enough in the subject for obvious reasons. But I've taken it deep as I could possibly go, and I continue to deepen it on a daily basis, and I will not stop. Well, the reason I do that is because that's my priority. I don't want to suffer. Suffering is the opposite of health. I'm going to say it again. In my universe, suffering is the opposite of health. So if Buddha said suffering is this world of suffering, I will not going to disagree. I will say that suffering is the absence of health. Health meaning harmony. Now, harmony is a big word. Everybody has a definition of it, but what is harmony? In order to understand harmony, or in order to go towards harmony, you have to understand what is human being, the condition of the human being, where is the human being, what time is the human being living in. You have to take a bunch of variables together, so many, in order to create the greatest possible harmonious symphony out of that individual, in order to remove the friction, which we call suffering. Well, that's my priority. Because what's the point? I'm rich, I suffer. Congratulations. I'm handsome, women love me, I suffer. I'm the most important person in the world, I suffer. So I don't see the point. Because all these actions were coming from a desire to remove the suffering. So a person felt weak, felt a lot of suffering, was bullied, was not respected, decided I'm going to become the strongest person in the world, let's say succeeds to whatever degree, and still suffer. So I respect that. I respect the journey. I respect the effort. But then you're still suffering. So we haven't solved the problem. The problem was they were suffering. It's because it was misdiagnosed. And the reason it's misdiagnosed is we live in a society where there's no doctors. In the true sense of the word, we have drug dealers that pretend to be doctors. I have no problem with drug dealers. I just don't appreciate the lie. Other than that, I don't have a problem that drug dealers exist. Everybody got to do what they got to do. But the official legal drug dealers called medical doctors, well, they're not doctors. They're drug dealers. If we would now understand that that's a drug dealer, then you don't go see the drug dealer to learn about health. You go see the drug dealer to have a pill that makes the pain go away. And everybody knows that taking a pill to make pain go away is not health. It's palliation. Sometimes it's necessary. I'm not here to judge, but it's definitely not health because it has not resolved the problem. In other words, it hasn't reestablished harmony. In other words, it hasn't removed the friction. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So I prioritize health because health is the foundation of the human experience. For me, it's the foundation of my life. It's the foundation of every organism. Is it healthy or is it not? The first thing when the baby comes out of the womb, it's a healthy baby, it. Like that. Isn't that something they say that's common? Yeah, you have a healthy, because what's the question? Is he healthy? Is it healthy? Let's just say it for fun, okay? Is they healthy? Or is it sickly? Now, generally, with the machines, they already know way ahead of time what's going on. But let's say it's a saying once upon a time. Is it healthy? Well, why? Because that's the most important element. From health, anything and everything is possible. From disease, limitations are now imposed. I'm going to say it again. From health, everything is possible. At least everything is possible for that organism. The organism right next to it, right? There's two babies born at the same time and both are healthy. Well, that organism has a specific constitution and capacity. So health for it expresses itself in one way, and the other child has its own constitution and design, and health expresses itself in another way. It's not the same. You can't ask this one to be that one, or vice versa. They can inspire one another, but this one and that one are separate. They're two different, distinct. So they will not express health, in other words, life, the same way. With that being said, in my humble opinion, the core, most important aspect of the human experience is health. Unfortunately, it is ill-defined. And because of this lack of definition, people don't understand what it is. They're confused. And I think it's quite convenient. If you define it clearly, there's no debate. It's not arbitrary, it's not subjective, it's not depending on which system. No. This is how it works. We're talking about it. This is engineering. Like, you take a computer, this is how the machine works. Now, if you're a woman and you're insane and you want, I want it to be this. You can pretend that the machine is a toaster. You can do whatever you like. When I was a kid, I take a phone and pretend I was in a spaceship. It's not a spaceship, it's a telephone. But in my brain, I'm imagining it's a spaceship, and this is the console in my spaceship, and I had Hours of fun. I wake up in the morning, first thing I'd sit is in that mono seat with the super telephone that my parents had, and because it looked from the future, it looked like it was from Star Wars, and I'm playing Vessel, like big starship. No, it's a telephone, right? So this is the design of the computer. The computer works that way. In the same way, human beings, this is how it works. It doesn't matter that you believe in Buddha or Krishna or Jehovah or whoever makes you happy. This is how it works. But as you can see, to understand a human being implies, and that's where there's the treacherousness, well, a deeper understanding of the human experience and the human nature, which takes us towards spiritual matters. And this is where there's going to be a conflict. Well, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in the soul. I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in, right? And then we have a conflict. But at the end of the day, if we remove all these words, one thing we can agree on is that there's something that makes it that your life, whatever it is, and the way that life circulates is non-negotiable. And it is 100% intertwined with whatever we can call the mind. And being that you don't understand your mind, you haven't studied the mind, you don't want to care about your mind, then you don't understand how the correlation between the mind and its crystallization, which is the human body, and all of this, and then it's chaos. And that's very convenient for people in this era of fractalization. But it's not convenient for me. So I don't care. I've put the study of health at the forefront. I've removed ideologies. I've studied every system I can find, especially the ones that are very intelligent and profound and well established. But the study of health really came from the study of myself. It's at the forefront, and there's certain things that are non-negotiable. And when you visit older traditions, you find, it was understood. Yeah, it's because it's not complicated. If you go see Ayurveda, they'll say life, the Hindus in general, but let's say Ayurveda splits the life in 4 parts. And well, this is non-negotiable. It's like, well, these big words, and then the white woman is going to be like, oh yeah, it's so important to have dharma. And it's a big word to say, what's the purpose of your life? And if you don't have a purpose, then you're going to feel sick. So I have to find a purpose. The purpose you shouldn't find, it should emerge. And that comes from health. And we need to artha, which is financial capacity, rich, full, you're wealthy. Well, where should it come from? Stock market? Selling face masks during COVID on Amazon? Or should it come from the extension of myself, creating value and offering it to people, and then I receive? Well, it's going to be very different if I sell face masks and I make $1 million versus I've found out who I am. I've mastered the craft associated with my specific skill set, and then I offer it to people. Then if I want to scale it, because this is the era of scaling, I want to industrialize it, you can, if you're really one of those people. But it's coming from inside. It's going to be very different than selling face masks. So whatever they're saying it's extremely, it's full of wisdom, but it's not far-fetched. You could figure it out on your own. Back to what I was saying. For me, that's the most important. And this does not exclude all other aspects of life. However, I will never compromise. So now I have a barometer. If, for example, success or wealth or meaning require me to come out of balance, well, I'm not going to do it. No, because that's not, for me, so that's not success. If it's going to compromise my health, then it cannot be success. There's going to be a form of rajas or tamas. If there's rajas on one side, something else is going to be tamasic. Rajas meaning it's going to be heat, friction, tense, I want, you're forcing. And if you've put a little too much energy here, another part is going to go limp. Something else is going to be undertaken care of, and it's going to become like flaccid. So I have nothing against that. But for me, well, that means that the health, overall health, that means within your own system, there's going to be something overheated and something underutilized, which is going to create various symptoms, starting in your mind, eventually in your physiology. And there we go. So what's the point? So that you can have a couple of more pennies, or that you can pretend that you're so important, so that you can feel better about yourself. It's a compensation. So it's not real. So if it's not real, then what was the point? Now it's tempting, and I can understand, but I'm not in the world of temptation. I'm in the world of I want to establish myself in me. And Ayurveda has a very beautiful word, which is swasta, which is means swastika. And swasta means to establish yourself inside yourself, to sit in you. And health is swasta, to be in you. See, it's not complex, but for the commoner, not even for the commoner, for the majority of people, this is a foreign concept. What do you mean? What does that mean to be in myself? Should I do this? What does that mean? Well, it's very simple. In today's modern new age jargon, we can think we understand, but to establish yourself in self, it's not. It's a science. It's an art and a science, and we come from way out there. That means we're quite off balance. So to return to balance, it's quite a process. It's not given to everybody, and there's no fucking way you're going to do this on your own. It's not possible. But in today's day and age, I'm not supposed to say that, but being that this is my channel, and I feel very comfortable on my channel, and I only have 78 views per video, and that was the whole point, because I can say I don't give a shit about anyone, so I can say what I want to say. I say, well, that's not possible. The truth is, truth be told, this is not possible. It has never been possible. It will never be possible. Different people have different functions, and some have their functions to help you reestablish balance. They will not make you balance. They will guide you through the process of being balanced. You have to do the work, but you need a guide, because it's not so easy. You'd like to think it's easy. You'd like that ChatGPT could tell you 17 steps or 6 steps because you don't feel like reading 17, and then you can just establish yourself in yourself. But that's not how it works, because you have to navigate through so much, including the psyche, which is a labyrinth and a mess, and it's filled with little demons whose sole purpose is to confuse you and break whatever it is that you're building so that they can feed. Anyways,